half double crochet. So just when you thought you were safe in assuming that the number of loops on your hook and the number of pairs you remove are in the name of the stitch, we throw halves in there. So this is the exception to the rule. We're going to use half double crochet in the example because it's the one most commonly used. So basically a half stitch means it starts out like the name. So we're going to start out like a double crochet. That means 2 loops on our hook. We're going to insert into the next stitch that's under those teardrop shaped 2 loops and pull up a loop. So far so good, right? If we were going to do finish a double crochet, then we would begin to remove those loops in pairs. But this is a half double crochet, so we're going to start out like a double, but then we're going to end like the step before, which is a single. And since that means at this point, once we have 3 loops on the hook, we're going to yarn over and pull that through all 3 loops on the hook. No pairs with a half double crochet. I'm going to do a couple more while I explain how to do that in taller stitches, just in case you come across a pattern that has a half triple or a half whatever. You would work the first part of the stitch exactly the same way as the stitch that's named, and you would work it all the way through that point where you have 3 loops on your hook, and then when you have 3 loops on your hook, you yarn over and pull through all 3. So that's what regular half double crochet looks like. You can tell it's half double crochet from the back because it has that extra loop that kind of runs down the middle. So it kind of looks like a chain here and a chain here. This is going to come in handy later on. Again, like with the other stitches, you can do front loop only, which means working in the front loop of that teardrop, and which leaves that back loop open to either leave as a line or work for some other way. You can do back loop only, which is to work only under the back loop of that teardrop. And you can do increases and decreases. An increase simply means working 2 stitches in the same place. So we're going to work 1 and then we're going to go right back to that same place and work another one. So you can see that we've turned 1 stitch in the previous row into 2 stitches in the current row. And then you can also do decreases, which is to take 2 stitches in the row below and turn it into 1 stitch. The way you do that with half double crochet is that you start off like you would a double. You pull up a loop, but where in double crochet you would remove a pair, we don't have pairs to remove with this stitch, so you just keep going. You yarn over, insert into the next stitch and pull up a loop. You've got 5 stitches on your hook and you pull through all of them together, and that's how you decrease in half double crochet. You see we took 2 stitches there, it's 1 stitch here. That's how you do that. We can also do post stitches. I've done a lot of things with a half double post stitch ribbing because it's just a little bit shorter and tighter. Same thing, front post is you insert your hook from front to back around the post of that stitch instead of the loops at the top. But you work the stitch exactly the same. You pull up a loop and then you pull that through all 3. I'll work another one here. Front to back around the post, pull that through, and then through all 3. Same with back post stitch. You start off the same way, but with back post you insert your hook from back to front around the post of that stitch. So this is what it looks like from the top. Yarn over, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So back again is inserting your hook from back to front, pull up a loop. Sorry, I'm having some trouble with my hands today. Yarn over and pull through all 3. You can also do extended double crochet, but again, we're getting to the point now where these extended stitches at this point are probably not going to come across, but I'm just going to show it to you anyway, just in case. So we've got all our half double crochets in one spot. So extended stitch just means you're going to add a chain at the beginning. So instead of pulling through all 3, you're just going to pull through 1 to add that chain before you finish your stitch, and then you yarn over and pull through all 3. So it makes it just a little bit taller. I'm going to do one more extended, and that just means you do a chain 1 before you finish your stitch. So that's a pretty good variety, but there's one other thing that we can do with half double crochet that's super, super cool. And this is what you often see half double crochet used for. So let me just work a few regular stitches, and then I can show you what I mean. So we looked at front loop only and back loop only, and that works for any kind of crochet stitch. But with half double crochet, there's another option that's called third loop only. And you'll hear some people usually refer to it as third loop, but sometimes they will refer to it as the loop behind, or the, you know, in the middle of the stitch. They don't really have it, they might describe it in a weird way, but this is what they're talking about. They're talking about that loop that runs across the back side of the stitch. So not the teardrop shape at the top that we normally work in, but this extra line right here. So we're going to work our stitches as usual, but we're going to work them through that third loop. So I don't know if you can see that, but I'll work this row so that you can see what it does. So you would just insert your hook into that loop, not the teardrop shape at the top, but the actual third loop. You're working your stitches the way you normally would. Sometimes it'll tell you to do a different kind of stitch through that third loop, but I'm going to stick with half double crochet since that's the one we're talking about. Sometimes you'll do single crochet in the third loop of the half double crochet, which sounds complicated, but it really isn't once you get started. Alright, so now I've done enough where I think you can see what this is going to look like. From this side, it looks pretty much like 2 rows of crochet. Nothing special, but look what happens when I turn it this way. And you can see that by working in that back loop, it's pushed the top loops, that top teardrop shape, towards one side and created a fantastic surface chain that's built right into the fabric of your piece. And it's a great decorative effect in a lot of things, and you'll also find it in things like granny squares and things like that where they want to see that. So by not working the back of this, the last of this row, you can see that this actually is the top 2 loops of that row below being pushed forward. Every now and again there will be a pattern that wants you to push this forward to find that third loop. But it's worked the same way. So either way, the point is to pull that chain to one side of your fabric, and that's half double crochet.